back, or welcome to my channel. My name is Ren and I make videos a couple of times a week about books and pop culture, and today I'm going to talk about some of my favourite books that involve fandoms and fandom culture. I have 3 physical ones here. Some of them are on the top shelf of my bookshelf and I can't find my little stool, so I can't reach them. So I will just show a picture. As someone who is involved in multiple fandoms and always has been, I really love these books. I think they're really good explorations. You know, I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. These books explore the good, the bad, the ugly. I think that that's really good, so I want to recommend them. So the first one is actually a book that I read last year, and I think it was probably, I would say, the best book I read last year, and that's Last Seen Online by Ren James. This book was so good. I bought this while I was on holiday and I literally blitzed it that night in one sitting. It was so good. This focuses on Delilah. She meets Sawyer, who's the son of a very famous person in Hollywood, and it throws Delilah into this decades-old scandal where these 2 guys who were in a show shipped and assumed that they were dating, and one of them ended up being murdered and the other one was framed for his murder. So Delilah goes back and she starts ending up trying to uncover what actually happened and who was actually responsible. And this is really good because it goes between the story now, whilst then also old blog posts and different writings from this one fan who's like an obsessed, crazed fan, like broke into their house and everything. Like, it was this really in-depth thing. If you've been in fandoms and you've been around on the internet for a while and you've ever seen like fandom essays and things that people have done, this was just a perfect representation of what that is like. It was so good. Like, this felt like how it felt to be on Tumblr in like 2012. It was genuinely just such a good exploration. Fandom essays, I could write my own essays on these essays. I just thought this was such a good commentary and just so amazingly done. Genuinely the best book I read last year. I loved it so much. I loved obviously like the mystery and the crime element, but then also the conversation surrounding fandom I just thought was so good and so spot on. And then we have I Was Born for This by Alice Oseman. This book obviously had to be on this list. It focuses on Angel, and her thing in life is the band, the Ark. She's obsessed with the Ark. Angel, she has her friends because of the Ark. Like, so much of her life is because of this band, and she's so focused on them. She wants to see them, she wants to meet them, she lives and breathes the band. We also have Jimmy, who is a member of the Ark, and it is his perspective and his side of things. And I thought this was really good because it showed both sides. It showed the side of being the fan, whilst also showing what it's like to be in that and what that is like and how to navigate it. And I thought that Alice did that really well. Again, as someone who's been in fandom for a really long time, I thought this was a really good and interesting and accurate portrayal of what it can be like and how extreme it can be, whilst also having those really interesting and good conversations from it being the other side of things. Speaking of it being the other side of things, on the back of that I want to recommend Kiss and Tell by Adib Khorram. Now this focuses on a boy band, Kiss and Tell, and Hunter, who is in the boy band, and he is trying to learn to navigate everything, and stuff about his personal life comes out, and it is everything from there. This is entirely from the perspective of being the person like that the fandom is about, if that makes sense. This is obviously from Hunter's perspective. Again, I read this in one sitting. I absolutely loved this. I thought it was such a good exploration, really showcased quite a lot of things, and I just absolutely loved it. I thought this was really good. And we have Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. I read this book a few years ago now and it has stayed with me. I love it so much. It focuses on Eliza. In life she's quite shy, but online she's the anonymous creator of a really popular webcomic. She just spends so much of her life just wanting to be online. Like, she just wants to focus on that. A guy called Wallace joins her school, and he is actually a fan fiction writer for her webcomic. She realizes like who he is, but he obviously doesn't know that it's her that creates Monstrous Sea, which is the name of her webcomic. And I thought this was so good. It was such a good exploration of fandom in general and online fandom and fan fiction, and which I really liked, but it also is such a phenomenal exploration of mental health. This is like one of my top books about mental health that I would recommend, like fiction books about mental health. It was so raw and real, just so honest, and such a good exploration of that, and also kind of like how it feels to like want that escape and how fandom can be an escape for people. It's genuinely one of the best books I've read just in general. It's one of my favourite books ever. It just is such good exploration of every part of it. It was just so well done. There was not a theme in this book that fell short. It all hit the mark. It was all done so well. It explored everything correctly and beautifully and in such a real and authentic way. And I absolutely love this. I wouldn't be able to do this video without recommending Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I'm sure that everybody has read Fangirl by now. It's 12 years old this year, which is insane. I read Fangirl while I was at uni, and it was one of the first books I ever read about fandom. It really resonated with me. It is two sisters, Kath and Ren. Kath writes fan fiction and has social anxiety, so is kind of like quite withdrawn and stays inside quite a lot of the time. She writes fan fiction about Carry On, the Simon Snow books, which is then amazing because the Simon Snow books are then there that you can now buy the actual series. This is kind of withdrawing from her a little bit. She meets Nick in her classes because they've just started their freshman year, and I think I really related with it because I just started my first year at uni as well, and they have writing classes together, but she's dealing with a lot in her personal life as well, and it's this mixture of, like, again, how fandom can be this escape and how you can throw yourself into something, but then also like not how sometimes that's not as great if you're using it as like a just, you know, coping thing. A good way of how fandom can be there for us if we need it to be, and kind of the impact that it can have on our lives, which I think is really nice. When I read Fangirl, I read it at such a perfect time in my life, and I do think it has so many good elements to it, so I have to put it on this list. And then finally we have Stars in Their Eyes by Jessica Walton and Aska. This is a YA graphic novel, focuses on Maisie and Ollie, and they are going to FanCon, which is obviously a comic convention. Maisie, who's on her way with her mum, and Maisie is an amputee, and she's on her way to meet her idol Cara, who is also an amputee and is the hero of her favourite TV show. Maisie meets Ollie, who geeks out about nerd culture just as much as Maisie does. It's lovely, and they have this bond, just meeting someone special and having that initial connection and being able to bond over fandom and over these things that we love so much. This is honestly such a sweet graphic novel. I read it on NetGalley last year early, and then bought it when it came out. Genuinely just so lovely. There's it's just nice. Do you know when you read something, you just think that's really lighthearted and lovely and wonderful, and I just absolutely adored it. Yeah, that's on this list as well. Those are some of my favourite books where we talk about fandom. I do have a couple of other ones, but they're more like horror crime ones. So if you want me to do that as a separate video, they're not as lighthearted. I mean, obviously Last Seen Online is also crime, but these other ones are definitely not as lighthearted. So if you want me to do a separate video where I talk about the more nitty gritty parts of fandom culture, then please say, and I will make that video. I'll just share some of these ones in the time being. Please leave your own recommendations in the comments. I'm always looking for books that focus on fandom and fan culture, so please let me know in the comments and we can nerd out together. And like I said, if you guys are new here, then I make videos a couple of times a week about books and pop culture. So if you want to stick around and join us, feel free to hit that subscribe button and a little notification bell. And as usual, all the links to my other social medias will be in the description as well. Thank you for watching. I hope you're doing really well, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.